The next community on our tour throughout the entire Fairfax County, where we cover everything you need to know about those little bitty areas that make up Fairfax County, is Vienna. If you're moving here, then you probably are going to be catching the metro or some type of transportation. Transportation is going to be important to you. We're covering this part of the area right here on the metro stop, so the orange line and the silver line. So you're going to be looking at the Spring Hill Wolf Trap on the silver line, and we're covering these 3 stops: Fairfax, GMU, Vienna, Dunn, Loring. Now I will say there is no Vienna and Fairfax GMU. These 2 are combined, but that's the Metro's map. That's not my map.
So Vienna is like a few other places that we've seen already in our tours of different areas. We saw this with Fairfax and also Falls Church, and that they are, the city of Falls Church with the greater Falls Church area surrounding it. And in this situation, we have the town of Vienna, which is kind of in the center. And then we have the greater Vienna area, which is those other parts that share that Vienna postal code. So in today's video, we're not going to limit ourselves to just the town of Vienna. We're going to look at, of course, that area, but we're also going to look at that greater Vienna area so that we can talk about a few of those neighborhoods and also the schools that support those areas, the metro systems, everything in that greater Vienna area.
As we were doing the research for this Vienna area, I gotta say that I really started to fall for Vienna because, Falls Church used to be my favorite place on the map as far as like in Fairfax County, outside of Arlington or Old Town, around the King Street area, right?
But those areas are outside of Fairfax County.
Those areas are outside of Fairfax County. So we're looking at Fairfax County, what parts that really resonate with me. I like the ability to walk to restaurants. I also like quick access to either the interstate or to Creature Comforts.
Creature Comforts, yes. That's his big thing.
Right. So with Vienna, as we were researching it, they have larger homes in the Vienna area, much more so than the Falls Church area. They have more transactions, which means that you'll be able to find more properties in the Vienna area. And they have this cute little strip that has nothing but these like mom and pop restaurants, which, since we're from New Orleans, we're not really used to using chain restaurants.
Yeah, we like independent. Yeah, like we absolutely love like a small mom and pop restaurant. And that's actually one of the things that I really love about Vienna. And so stay to the end because I'm going to tell you about 2 great restaurants that you definitely want to check out.
We're going to cover the neighborhoods inside of Vienna. We're also going to cover the commute, the schools, things to do. There's going to be a timestamp right here so you can make it through these videos. We've noticed that these videos have been airing on the long side, right?
Because we're giving you a lot of information. Right. The idea for these videos is that we're going to tell you everything you need to know so you can either rule it out, so you know not to include it in your list, or you can add it to your list. So we're kind of going in depth with these videos.
Exactly.
Because we want you to have as much information as possible.
This is Where to Live in Northern Virginia, where we cover all the parts of Northern Virginia.
That includes Fairfax County, Arlington, the city of Alexandria, Prince William County, and Loudoun County.
So if you're moving to the area or you already live here and you want a real estate expert, you could use our phone number and our email address right here. Because of this channel, we get calls and emails and text messages from people just like you wanting to know more information about this area. My name is Abraham Walker.
I'm Crystal Walker.
And this is Where to Live in Northern Virginia. What's another way for people to get in touch with us?
You can actually fill out the perfect home questionnaire, and that is linked right down below in the description. You'll answer a few questions about what's bringing you to the area and your expected timeline for your move, and one of us will reach out to you to schedule a virtual consultation.
Excellent. Let's get into this video about Vienna.
So the first neighborhood we're going to talk about is Country Creek. It is a neighborhood of townhouses.
Cute townhouses.
Cute townhouses. They were built between like the late 70s to mid 90s. The reason he says cute townhouses is because if you live in Northern Virginia, you'll get very familiar with the look of Northern Virginia. Everything looks the same, like from one subdivision to the next, one area to the next. There's just not a lot of variety, especially when it comes to townhome communities.
Yes.
We have literally been in areas where like, are we on our block?
Right.
Because they just look so similar. And this particular community was unlike any we've seen before. Again, the townhomes are a little bit older, starting in the 70s, but they just have exterior layouts. The construction of them is different than what we're used to seeing, and unlike any other neighborhoods we've seen. So that was pretty cool to see a different type of architecture as far as townhomes, again, because we just see so much of the same thing over and over again. So you're gonna see a lot of 3 or 4 bedroom townhomes. No surprise there. Usually townhomes are about 3 to 4 bedrooms. Average sales price is going to be just under $710,000 over the last 12 months. And
actually, reasonable.
That is reasonable for this area, for Vienna. That's very reasonable.
For this location.
For this location, yeah. So let's go ahead and take a look around the area.
If you're following along with us at home, we're looking at Country Creek neighborhood. This is where it is on the map. To Capitol Hill, you're 19 miles. To Tyson's Corner, you're 5 miles. To the Pentagon, you're 15.5 miles. We're gonna zoom in here. As you can see on the map, the neighborhood is super close to the metro stop. You can actually walk here from this particular address. It's about a 20-minute walk, depending on how quickly you walk. We're probably not gonna be able to get into the interior of the neighborhood just because Google Street View doesn't like to invade in, I guess, other individuals' privacy. So this is the entrance into the neighborhood. And you can kind of see some of the townhouses right here. One of the things I like about this particular community is, in addition to the variety of styles of exterior properties, they also have a lot of green space, right? A lot of green space, a lot of mature trees, right? You can't find mature trees in a development that's new because it takes a while to grow trees, right? And also trees that we learned this just recently. If you buy a tree already fully grown, you know, it adds a couple $1,000s to the price. So that's one of the cool things about living in this particular community here. Plenty of parking, right? Assigned parking spaces. Also, I saw a couple of visitor parking spaces as well. And I like the fact that you can walk to the metro stop, you can walk to some creature comforts, and at $700,000, I think that's a reasonable price. I mean, of course, it's above the average sales price for the Northern Virginia area, but if you're going to be in some of the top tier public schools, if you're going to have such quick access to the metro stop and the interstate, I mean, you really can't beat that.
You really can't. So next up on the list, we have a neighborhood of single-family homes in Dunn Woods. It is an interesting neighborhood. It's actually really nice, older single families built in like the early 60s to late 70s.
Right.
So you're gonna see the type of homes that were built during that time. Ramblers, ranches, you're gonna see a lot of like split foyer, split level, and then a couple colonials and traditionals thrown in as well.
That was also their neighborhood. We saw a couple additions.
There were a few additions. So this isn't one of those older neighborhoods that you're gonna see a lot of tear downs or new construction,
right?
But there are a few additions, a couple of new construction, but not nearly as much as some of the other areas we're going to talk about today.
And just, I know that this is an oversimplification, but a tear down is where you buy an existing property, tear it down, and then
build something new.
Build something new. We don't have that much land in
it's at a premium.
County. So what, people just buy a $600,000 house, a little small ranch style house, tear it down, and then
McMansion.
Yeah.
Well, the reason I said this neighborhood is interesting is because we're driving around the neighborhood, nice, quaint, smaller homes, nice sized lots, you know, quarter acre, half acre lot. So pretty nice lot, reasonably priced. Single family homes average around 800,000. And I knew the neighborhood bordered 66.
Right.
When I say border, I mean it backs up to the interstate.
Right.
And so some of the homes actually back up, like the barrier for the interstate is in their backyard.
But the barrier, I mean, we were driving around.
It's not noisy.
It wasn't noisy. So it's just something just to consider if you're going to move to that area, not to be, I guess, put off by the fact that there is a, 40-foot barrier
behind the house.
Behind the house.
Yeah, I think that actually is a better job. It seemed quieter, the interstate, those homes over in like the Edgewood area, it seems louder over there. I don't know if it's just not the same quality of wall or what, but I feel like in this area in Vienna, it wasn't nearly as intrusive as it seems in this close to the city.
Yeah, I would say that. I would agree with that. All right, so if you're following along at home with us, we are looking at Dunn Woods on the map right here. As you can see, this is that interstate that Crystal mentioned, 66. What is cool about this little area is that the Dunn Merrifield Metro stop is right here. You also have quick access to, I don't know why they don't call this a mixing bowl, because it's becoming complicated.
It is, but it's still not as complicated as a mixing bowl.
Exactly. So this is where 66 and 495 intersect. So that means that you have quick access to both of those, obviously. And you can also jump on the HOV lane right over here. Southbound though, well, I guess there's no need to go northbound because you only have like a few more miles left. But you could jump on southbound right over here off of 29. So let's go take a look inside the community. We have both a driving tour, and we'll see what Google Street View has to say about this particular area. This Google Street View, I think this is from 2019. A lot can change in 3 years. So you see how you have those smaller sized homes. Nice lots, also sidewalks. I love sidewalks. Now I will say, I mentioned sidewalks regularly. I know it's like a little joke, but you know, if you're going to your neighbor's house, you don't want to be walking into the street, right?
Yeah.
I don't want my kids to learn how to ride a bike inside on the street. That's for professionals.
That's where the cars are.
Right. Also, what's cool about this little neighborhood, as you can see, the streets are flat. There is some elevation change here, but if you had kids who were gonna, if they were outside kids, I know that's a new thing, but if you had outside kids, you could get yourself a nice little game of touch football going. I wanted to see, let's see if we can see those barriers.
They're behind Bowling Green, but on what side?
Oh, there
it is.
Yeah, there's that barrier right there. So, like I said, it's not as intrusive, but it does do a great job of blocking out a lot of that noise as well.
And you can see, just like Abraham said, with a Country Creek, you're going to see a lot of mature trees. This is an established neighborhood that's been around for a long time. They have quite a few sales. I think there were 26 sales last year. Even though it's not a terribly large neighborhood, that's a considerable number of sales, considering the size of the community. Next up, we have Providence Park, which is another community here in Vienna. It actually borders Fairfax, and we had a little back and forth about where it was located yesterday. But it is in Vienna. It's a pretty small community, so small, in fact, that Abraham was wondering how it made our list. But we wanted to give you a few options in different parts of Vienna, so that's how we came to include Providence Park in this video. They only had about 15 sales last year. Average sales price was between $750,000 and $800,000. But what I like about this neighborhood is the townhomes are gonna be a little bit newer, so they're built in the late 90s. They're all brick. I actually really like the look of brick townhome communities.
Right.
Has a sleeker look than some of the other areas. So I really like the brick front townhomes. All of them are gonna be 3-level, either single or 2-car garage. And so let's take a look at Providence Park.
Here we are looking at Providence Park on the map right here. You can see that it is super close to 495 and also 29, which is also called Lee Highway. One cool thing about this community is it is right outside of Merrifield Garden Center. I mean, the sign for the community is right here on Providence Forest and Gallows Road. You can see the Merrifield Garden Center from these units on the exterior of the complex. But I will say, I know we're not talking about things to do yet, but Merrifield Garden Center is just a lovely gem in the community. It's a massive, massive park. And you know what, now I think about it, Merrifield makes up for the fact that you have no green space.
Because the nursery is right there.
Yes, you have no green space whatsoever. These townhouses are snug.
They made the most of this space.
Yeah.
Like, they got as many units as they could into this space. And there really is, you'll see, there really is no green space. Like, it is just a really...
There's Merrifield.
Oh, so that's
Garden
Merrifield
Center.
Garden Center right there.
Right across the street. Super, super close. These are the townhouses. What's cool about these townhouses, I know Chris already mentioned she likes the brick townhouses. They do have vinyl siding on the side, so it's not an all brick townhouse. They do have 2-car garage units, which I love that. Now, I will say the size of modern cars now, these garages are really 1.5-car garage, but you do have the parking slab right here, which is cool. So that means that you could fit multiple cars and you could fit all your junk inside of your property.
Really quickly though, this is pretty much all your green space right here.
This is the
like,
green
this
space.
is it for the neighborhood. So if you're someone who doesn't like lawn care.
Yes, that's true.
Because a lot of townhome communities, you have like a little, a little tablespoon of yard. We have like a little small piece of front yard, maybe a half a cup in our front yard, which we have to mow. You don't really have to worry about that so much here, unless you have an in unit, and I'm not even sure if this is common area or not, but you really don't have to worry about the yard maintenance because there really isn't much grass at all, which is a plus or minus. It really just depends on what you prefer.
One other cool thing about this property, like as far as like its location, I think that the reason you live here is because of the location. Of this community, so you're not raving over like the amenities here. They are similar to the last community we just looked at. They're close to this 95 and 66 exchange. You are right next to the south entrance of HOV Express Lane right here. I'll just show that to you so you can see what it looks like. So this is the south entrance of the HOV lane right over here. So if you work at Fort Belvoir, you can go to Tyson's on here, but that wouldn't make any sense because it's right on the street. Anywhere south, really. If you work anywhere south, using this is going to be very convenient for your commuting. And as you can see, there's also an entrance right here. So you can get to and from work fairly quickly. So that should cut down on your commute time. There's another bonus to living in this community as well. Well, we're gonna go to Halstead first. Halstead it's like a Mosaic District light, right? So you have some restaurants here, you have some creature comforts right here. This is within walking distance to your property. So there's going to be all kind of cafes, bars,
restaurants, coffee shops,
exactly.
that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. And then the last thing I want to show you is the Mosaic District, but we have a driving session through Mosaic District. So we'll just put some of that delicious B-roll up right now.
Okay.
And that is the Mosaic District. So that's right down the street from your property as well. This is a great place to pause in the video after learning about those 3 neighborhoods in Vienna. We have 2 more neighborhoods to go, so don't you dare turn off this video. If you're still here with us, type Vienna right in the comment section. And if you are moving to the area or you already live in the area and you're looking for a real estate expert, we use these videos as a form of interview, right? So you get to meet us before you work with us. And in addition to using our phone number and email address to get in touch with us, you can
fill out the Perfect Home questionnaire, which is going to be linked down below. It's just a few questions, maybe 4 or 5, just about what's bringing you to Northern Virginia, and one of us will reach out for a virtual consultation.
Excellent, Crystal. So let's get back to my favorite.
This is your favorite.
This is my favorite neighborhood in Vienna right now. If money was no object for our family and we didn't mind spending twice the price of the average sales price of a home in Fairfax County, Vienna Woods would be where we would live. That's where we would live. I mean, I love the look of the different styles of properties. There's also 3 parks you can walk to from your property. There's also the swim and tennis club in the community. You can go to 2 different metro stops. This neighborhood, kid you not, it has a lot of things that I think everybody would want, but most people won't really be able to afford.
That's true. The average sales price for Vienna Woods was over 1.2 million over the last 12 months. And just to put that in perspective, the high was 2.1 million. And there are some lower sales prices. The low was 625,000.
Now with that 625, we do find a lot of people at that lower price range tearing those houses down and putting up new construction property.
That's true, but still, under 700, you can still find something renovated. It will be smaller. That is not necessarily a tear down. So that is the interesting thing about it. Now, what I like about this area is, as Abraham said, there are lots of great new homes. This is an older community. Most of the homes were built in the 50s. And so what we're seeing here is this is actually a community that's in middle transition, but it's unlike other transitioning neighborhoods in that it is not like transitioning one house at a time.
Right, it's not subtle at all.
It's not subtle.
No.
It's not subtle. There are whole streets that have been rebuilt. Homes have been torn down and newer homes have been rebuilt. And so in those older neighborhoods, when you look at those older homes, you're gonna see what you expect from homes built in the 50s. We're gonna see a lot of ramblers, a lot of ranches, some split foyers, that traditional type of home that was built, 60, 70 years ago. Now, when you look at the newer construction, there's been a lot of new construction over the last 10 years. And we notice a theme with that. We noticed a lot of craftsmen.
Oh, yes.
It seems like every builder was like, you know what, this is the new thing. This is what the buyers want, with the exception of a few contemporaries, a few transitionals. For the most part, the new construction was craftsmen.
Yes. I don't know why craftsman is winning the competition for what houses are being built right now. Even in Arlington, you see a lot of craftsmen going up when a teardown is taking place. So I guess the market right now likes craftsmen, so that's cool.
It's what the buyers want, I guess. Yeah.
It just becomes a little redundant when you start to see craftsmen after craftsmen after craftsmen. And then everybody's using blue paint. What about those red? I mean, there's yellow, there's all kind of other colors in the rainbow, people.
I don't know if I said it already, but this is the largest area that we're gonna talk about for all of Vienna. I mean, they had more sales in this one neighborhood than they did in a few of the others combined. Yeah. So this is a great place, as Abraham said, location-wise, it's fantastic. It's in one of the top-rated school districts. It's close to a lot of creature comforts. So I can see why you like it. It's not my favorite on the list. I like it, but it is not my favorite on the list.
Wait, what's your favorite?
My favorite is actually not. next.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
wow.
Let's take a look at Vienna Woods on the map here.
One of the reasons we zoom out on neighborhoods before we kind of look at them is to give you a perspective or understanding of where the property is located. If you're relocating here, you may be working at the southern part of Northern Virginia, or you may be working in Arlington or the Pentagon. You may go into DC. You may even go to Loudoun, or you may be working at the airport. So this should give you a better idea of where the community is located and help you assess, you know, is this a place that should be on our list? In addition to, of course, the sales price of the properties in this community. So we'll put the commute distance on the screen right now so you can get a better idea of how far this place is from different locations. Now that we looked at that, let's look in the inside of this neighborhood. Like I mentioned before, there are 3 parks that are around this community, and I'm not even talking about Nottoway Park. I'm talking about Meadow Lane Park, Cunningham Park, and George Giannis Park. Also, this park has another name too, called Southside Park. So I mentioned this already previously, that you actually have access to both the Vienna Fairfax GMU Metro, and you have access to the Dunn Loring Merrifield Metro. You'll probably use the Vienna Fairfax GMU Metro just to make sure you get yourself a nice comfy seat, because these people are going to be getting on the Metro, and the Metro moves from east to west when you are commuting, of course. Right? So let's go in the interior of this community. On this particular street, we're going to look at some of the older homes that are in this development, and then we'll also look at a street that has more new construction. And if the Google Street View doesn't show it, we also have a video driving tour showing you everything, right? So this is like what Crystal was talking to you about, what properties are available in this community. You'll be surprised at what you can do in the interior of these houses. This property here is what they call they pop the top. So this top portion of the property is new construction. The bottom part is from the 50s and 60s, like Crystal had mentioned. I will say you're seeing less tops being popped and more just tear downs, right? Because if you're going to do a $200,000 to $300,000 renovation, you know, why not just spend another $300,000 to $700,000 and just do some real damage. Let's look at the next community, or inside the same community, but this is going to be new construction. Again, if you're following along with us at home, we recommend that you do like a similar tour for yourself where you take these addresses and you can follow along. So here we go. We have a nice little craftsman style property next to a traditional style home. What we'll do is, because Google Street View hasn't updated since 2019, some of these houses have been built in the last year and a half. You see this house right here? This would have not, this is now here, right? Whatever this is.
And there was still even a lot of construction going on when we were doing our driving tour.
Again, you see we have new construction right here. Although they have a little flagstone, which is a nice little touch.
This one is actually one of those transitionals.
So this is what you can find in this neighborhood. Like I said, they have sidewalks, which is important to me. They also have some flat streets. There's elevation in this area, and they just have access to so many things.
So now we're gonna cover the last neighborhood for today's video, and that's gonna be Wolf Trap Woods. This is my favorite area. It's to me, it's kind of like a happy medium. The homes there are built in like the late 70s to the early 80s. And so I think that it's a nice mix of homes, whereas, you know, some of the other communities have like older homes like Vienna Woods, and then there's a lot of new construction that's been built over the last 20 years. These homes were built kind of right in the middle of that time, and I love them. This particular neighborhood has a lot of contemporary homes. In addition to that, you're gonna see some colonials and some traditionals. Nice size lots. Usually somewhere between 1/4 and 1/2 acre. Sales price is gonna be higher than the average in Northern Virginia. You're looking at about $1,070,000. So that's a little bit higher than what we're used to seeing throughout Northern Virginia.
Just a little bit, just
a little bit, just twice this time.
Yeah.
And so I actually really like this neighborhood. This community in particular is actually really close. It's actually adjacent to the Wolf Trap National Park.
Right.
Which is a huge national park here in Fairfax County. And in addition to all that parkland, they have their own like 117 acres of wooded space for this particular neighborhood.
For that association.
For that association. And so within that association, they have a basketball court, tennis courts, no pool, but lots of trails.
Not having the pool is a deal breaker for me.
It is a deal breaker for me too. It's a deal breaker for me too, even though we only go like once or twice a year, but still, I prefer an association with a pool. But yeah, so I really like Wolf Trap Woods. Let's take a look at some of the homes in that area. So you'll notice looking on the map that Wolf Trap Woods isn't necessarily close to any of the other neighborhoods we saw. So this is in the northernmost part of Vienna.
We'll also put the commute distance right here on the screen right now for you to see.
Now, what I was surprised by is actually, even though this area is a little bit further out, the commute distances were not very different from any of the other neighborhoods. In fact, it's actually gonna be a little bit closer to Tyson's compared to the other neighborhoods.
That's true. Your metro stop for this one is on the Silver Line. So this is the only place that we've seen on the Silver Line today. This is gonna be the Spring Hill Metro. I wanna make sure I'm clear. If you moved in this neighborhood right now, Leesburg Pike is going through some changes.
Some things.
Yeah, so I don't want to give you a time, or even if I gave you the distance, it would be misleading because this area right here is just bonkers right now. So
they're doing a lot of construction.
They're doing a lot,
and it makes it a bit of a headache to get on and off Leesburg Pike.
Yes.
Like to make turns onto and off of Leesburg Pike is a bit of a headache. But I think it's worth it once you see the neighborhood.
Right. So let's go ahead and jump into the neighborhood.
So Abraham said, you know, he really liked Vienna Woods and some of the other neighborhoods because they're close to creature comfort, so you can walk to everything. And actually, what I like most about this neighborhood is it feels like you're in the middle of a park. I mean, look at all the trees. The homes back to trees. I love the beautiful contemporary style of the homes. You just don't see many homes in this style. They're on really nice sized lots. I mean, doesn't it look like a park?
It does. I feel like living in your house is only one aspect of like living in an area. So these houses are gonna have bedrooms and bathrooms and kitchens. But what are you gonna do once you know, like what are you gonna do after you get home? After you get home, right?
I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm a bit of a homebody.
Right.
So I enjoy being home. It's my favorite place to be.
Yes.
So I'm not, I don't necessarily need a lot of creature comforts.
Not me. I like to be out. I like to be out and about. Very nice neighborhood. Nice wide streets. Right. Some 2-car garage units. Also, while we're here, might as well just talk about this. This is a true 2-car garage, okay? Okay, people, if you're really into like parking 2 vehicles in a property, this little middle divider there is super important. That means that your garage is wider than just having a larger door, a single panel door. If 2-car garage is important to you, look for this, not the single panels, because those things can be deceiving until you get inside of them. That was your real estate tip for the day. Look at this, this is cute.
That's beautiful.
It's a cute, true 2-car garage. Look at that, even have the matching mailbox here. That's cute. Yeah, so.
Is my neighborhood winning you over?
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. It's too far over. I don't like Leesburg Pike. And I like to walk places. So
they have sidewalks. I don't know if you see it.
You can't walk where? Where are you going to walk to?
The neighborhood.
Yes.
Next up, we're going to talk about the schools. I feel like every video we've prefaced this when we talk about the schools, we always mention making sure you check the Fairfax County boundary locator.
Right.
And that's always important if you have a specific school in mind, or you know, if test scores or ratings are important to you. And so definitely check out the Fairfax County boundary locator. There are 3 high schools that service this area. That's going to be Madison, Marshall, and Oakton.
Yes.
All 3 of those high schools are actually pretty highly rated according to US News.
Yes, that I could say that's the first time that you don't have to be as conscious of where you're going to be purchasing. So Vienna would be, I would say, you know, like a safe bet for your kiddos if you have the littles.
If schools are important to you, I think that this is going to be, for the areas we've covered so far, this is the highest concentration of schools that are highly rated.
Yes.
Whereas in some of the other neighborhoods we've looked at, we've seen schools where one school was in the top 5 on US News and then another school was in the bottom 10. And that has not necessarily even reflected in the price of the homes, because we've seen really expensive areas where the public school was not highly rated. That's not the case here. So we have Marshall, which is rated number 4 by US News. Oakton is rated number 7, and then Madison is rated number 8.
Gotcha.
And typically when you see schools that are highly rated, the elementary schools are also going to be rated pretty highly. And so a few of the top rated elementary schools for the Vienna area are going to be Wolf Trap, Cove and Run, West Briar, and Flint Hill. And all of those schools are rated 8 or above on greatschools.org.
We're back to the map. we're talking about commute times or what your commute's gonna look like. This is really the Vienna, the historic area of the town.
Town of Vienna.
The town of Vienna. So this isn't an actual reflection of Vienna itself, right? But you can see that Vienna is bordered by 66 and the Dulles Toll Road. This Dulles Toll Road will be, I would say, like the northern part of the area, whereas 66 is the southern part. You have quick access to all of the thoroughfares that would get you taking 66 to get into Arlington, or taking 267 to get yourself into some parts of Loudoun. It's everything, right? So it's located close to everything. I-66, I-495, 267. So that's everything. And like we mentioned already in this video, you have the Silver Line, which is going to go up to the northern part of the Vienna area, and then you have the Orange Line, which is going to come along 66 for the southern part of Vienna. All right, so now we got all that boring stuff out the way. You know, everybody has to live somewhere. Everyone has kids they got to put in schools, and everybody get to work. Now it's time to talk about the fun stuff. What makes living in Vienna fun and desirable, and the envy of all your friends who live in other boring parts of Fairfax County?
So what do you like about Vienna? What are the things in Vienna you like the most?
I would say the biggest thing that jumps out to me is going to be that Main Street, right? Maple Street, because you have all of the restaurants. I mean, there's so many restaurants to choose from that you could spend, you know, a year or two just getting to know the restaurant scene. Right?
Yeah, I mean, what I really like about the restaurant scene, particularly on Maple, is there are a lot of locally owned restaurants, and one of them is like Maple Avenue Restaurant, which is really popular in the area. It is so unassuming. When you pass by, you would think it was a diner, but it's actually like a European bistro.
Oh yes.
And they serve, like, I mean, their menu changes every day, seasonal foods, the chef, you can get a chef's table. Like, it's just so much that you wouldn't expect.
Chef's table.
They have chef's tables there, and also at Clarity, we have not.
So long.
So then you do tastings.
Right.
So it's really cool that you have the opportunity to eat at these type of places that you expect to find in DC.
Right.
And you know, a lot of times when you're in the suburbs, you expect just to see chains.
Yes.
And so to move to an area where there's a lot of opportunity to try new foods, and a lot of times when you see locally owned restaurants, it's going to be like a diner.
Yes.
Or it's going to be
something without an extensive menu.
Something without an extensive menu. This is like a place where you can find a bunch of restaurants to try for date night. I'm excited about that. I really like that about the area. What I like most about Vienna is all the parks. Fairfax County has a wonderful park system. We've talked about it time and time again. We have videos of some of the parks. Lots of trails, including the Washington and Old Dominion Trail, which actually runs through Vienna.
Wait, did you mention that we may have videos about the parks? You may want to just click right there to get to our playlist of all of our hikes that we do throughout the area.
Yes, and
That's
so
a great segue.
Well, so we actually have hiked the WNOD trail, and even from there, you actually can reach Meadowlark Botanical Gardens.
That's true.
So we've hiked there. We've also visited Meadowlark.
We also have a video.
We do have a video
of
our tour of Meadowlark. Meadowlark is actually really cool because it's a botanical garden, so you get to see lots of different species of plants and trees. There's that Korean bell, which is the only one with all the bees.
Yes, but you were about to say something else. It's the only one.
It's the only one in America. So it's this huge Korean bell here in America. And as I said in the last segment, Wolf Trap Park, it's a performing arts park. It's the first in the nation. So they have a huge amphitheater where you can go and enjoy concerts from all types of artists throughout the country.
Every genre.
Every genre. The National Symphony Orchestra plays there frequently.
That's true.
It is an amazing space, and it's a park. I mean, it's kind of wild. I love it. So Wolf Trap Park, my favorite part about Vienna. Shopping.
Yes.
In addition to Maple Avenue and all its shops, you're actually really close to the Mosaic District.
You are. There's the Mosaic District. Now, the Mosaic District has a few stores. If those stores aren't enough for you, then you can also go down the street to Tyson's Corner.
You're not far from Tyson's at all.
Yeah. There's several ways to spend all of your money.
And your time. So there's lots of things to do either in Vienna proper or by visiting nearby Tyson's, or if you're interested in going to Mosaic District, that's in Fairfax. So nearby, there's just a lot of stuff to do in Vienna. Seems like a really cool place to live.
That should be enough information to get you started to deciding whether or not you want to live in Vienna.
If you have any questions about today's video, be sure to leave it down in the comments below. And if you want to meet with us about your pending move to Northern Virginia, make sure you check out the Perfect Home Questionnaire, which is linked down below, and one of us will reach out to you for a perfect home consultation.
Excellent. And also there's a video over there with the playlist to the other videos that cover other areas in Fairfax County. We'll see you on the next video. Peace.